have mutual friends, and Selwyn. I mean, this is dude. You're the people. You're the person people want to hear, which is an important thing. So I'm just going to try to be like a little bit, hopefully, intriguing and intelligent. Ask you good questions because honestly, I want to hear from you. Stuff that I wouldn't normally hear. And I do this. I've done the podcast for years now with the families, loved ones killed by police. And that's why I'm doing this now. We do have that in common. And there's a unique perspective from families of loved ones killed by police. And there's a particular language that we also use. And I think that there's been a lot of things that haven't been articulated and explained. Okay, and I think that goes on so many levels and in so many ways. So I'm going to be real quick, and then I'm going to just give it to you because, dude, this is what we're here for, is to listen to you, not me. Stop me from my mouth.
I like your perspective on things. So, just let it go. Just speak your mind, let it go. And we'll get down to the bottom of all of this unfortunate situations here tonight. I am Selwyn Jones. I am George Floyd's uncle, and I am a crusader for hope. I hope that everybody in the world will have an opportunity to hear me speak one time or another, because what I have to say is, I think, important. I think it's important for our race. I think it's important for the white race. I think it's important for the human race. I think it's important for all races, because keep in mind, y'all, granted, I want to concentrate on the black race, the African Americans, but what I want to also tell you is nobody's more important than others. It just seems like that we get killed a lot more, we get incarcerated a lot more, we get treated a lot worse than our less melatonin friends because of the color of our skin, and that's not fair. And
lack of understanding from white people and just the cultural identity. Eugene, just put it in perspective, is, as of the last consensus, is 98.6% white. So our idea of diversity are hippies for the most part. And so when it comes to an older generation that wants to embrace Black Lives Matter, I think a lot of it has to do with them being able to assimilate what that means to them. Because the people that I've talked to, and then it comes right back down to this. Here's the thing, is Black Lives Matter is a social revolution. It's changed the world, and it's still changing the world. Police brutality is a byproduct. It's a symptom of the greater malaise between what and how we identify and deal with Black people in our world.
let me get this straight, my dear. Let me get this straight. On May the 25th, 2020, you, and everybody in the whole world watched my nephew get taken out of a car, get set beside a wall, get brought back to a car, and we watched him suffer, beg, plead, ask for water, ask for air, ask for his mama, ask for the dog that was running across the street, and nobody listened to him whatsoever. We watched a grown man take his last breath. That's what changed the whole world. No particular entity has changed the world. They've either made it better or worse. George Floyd was the beginning of the potential end of racism, inequality, police brutality, white racist factions. So that was left that was brought out all on his shoulders when you watched a human being suffer like an animal and then get put out of his misery by power.
With all due respect, though, Selwyn, honestly, George, your nephew, who you guys refer to as Perry, isn't here anymore. So honestly, the weight of this is literally on your shoulders
Yeah.
and your family.
Yeah.
And that is a burden, and that is it's also so inspirational. Oh my goodness, there's so much. I just
Slow down and relax, dear. Slow down and relax. We got a little bit here. We got a little bit there.
I'm getting notes. I have to read my notes here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good one. No, Jay pointed out, and this is one of the things I want to talk about. She was pointing out my notes to me, like that, coming from a family. I mean, my brother was killed by police, and working with the families across the United States. All of these are huge triggers. Okay, and so at this point, and this is why I pushed to do this on the 20th. And I thought this was really important. I think it's very inspirational for families because it is really hard. But this is the first Christmas you're going to have without your nephew. And I know you come from an incredibly large family. And how do you manage that? How do you do it? I mean, I called into a room. Didn't come out for a couple days.
Dear, first of all, I'm a man of large stature. I have to eat. I love to eat. So Christmas will never be the same because I lost this beautiful human being in 1997. And her name was Lauren Jones. That was my mom. So my Christmases since then have never been like Christmases. But when we get together in Houston, Texas with our family, and we see everybody hoop and holler and act crazy and laugh and joke and dance to the old music.
How many brothers and sisters you got?
I'm the baby out of 14 brothers and sisters. And it's always fun to get with the family. It's always fun to see my nieces and nephews. And I know that there's going to be a Christmas celebration, and a lot of us will thank him for what he did, because if he wouldn't have been that guy on that day, at that minute, at that time, at that hour, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And who knows if this conversation would have ever been had, because all I know is this: he gave us an opportunity to breathe. He gave us an opportunity for people to open their eyes. He gave us an opportunity for people's hearts. He gave us an opportunity to see the right and the wrong that people have been putting on Black people for all these years. Keep in mind, dear, we have over 2.5 million people in prison. Out of that 2.5 million people, we figure 48% of them are Black. Well, how can we have 4% of the population, but we have 40% of the crime? Out of that situation, 67% of young African American ladies have babies out of wedlock. 7 million females will be released from prison every year. Out of that 7 million of them, we figure 2.3 of them are Black. Now, something's wrong with these numbers. Numbers don't lie. All I know is this: is we are putting ourselves in situations where we could finally say, hey, there's a chance for us to possibly win. But we have to be accountable for ourselves. We have to love ourselves. We have to just pretty much respect ourselves as a whole, because you can lie to everybody else. You can't lie to yourself. And let's be real, police brutality is just a small bit of systemic racism. What about the Free Housing Act? What about health insurance? What about, food, insurance, housing? So we could sit here and talk about this forever. And what I tell people, dear, is four things: irritate, conversate, communicate, and educate. That's what we have to do. If we can do all four of those things, we could possibly, in our next generation, get to a place where it's not a beautiful black woman. It's just a beautiful woman. Or it's not a beautiful white woman. It's just a beautiful woman. Because let me tell you, we have some dog days ahead of us. And that means that everybody got to get together and we need to figure out what and how. Because this situation is winnable. We just have to do it.
Okay, so I'm going to speak, and apparently if I speak, I cut you off. I would prefer personally that rather than having a color blindness, that we have a color acknowledgement, and that those colors are of equal value and beauty and intention and something to just honor in that in our universe. Or, the different cultures and the different looks, and to me, I want to honor that. There's something in the, and I'll go up here in a second, but in the police brutality community, the justice families, we put our BIPOC members, our brothers and sisters first because of exactly what you said. The amount that you guys are getting killed exponentially in comparison to what the statistics and how many there are of features, indigenous, person of color, black, Hispanic, it just LGBTQ, it just doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense. And so we know as a community that we've always put the minority families first because they clearly have been last for so long, right? My hope is that as we kind of enter a new phase, and that just is the way things go, especially in this movement, and we've done this before, it's all new, is that we work together and utilize each other's skills to get to where we need to go, with the acknowledgement that Black lives matter. And I want to feel free as a white woman to say that. I really do. The phone that I usually misuse, but and I want people to feel, enough freedom to express their support. And I think that's not always happening, at least not necessarily around here. But there's a world. It's a world. People all over the world are doing this, and that's what's important. So, Black Lives Matter, and a lot of different colored people get killed by police.
Yeah, Black people aren't the only people. It's an American problem that just has not come up. The Policing Act started 400 years ago. It started to save the white folks from the slaves. And the same mentality goes today. We have to save the white folks from the potential animals that we are. When, let's be real, we breathe the same, we eat the same, we do everything the same. The only thing that's different is you have less melatonin than we have. Because we have tans, should we be labeled as monsters, as drug dealers, as criminals and hoodlums? No. But that.
Well, let's make this really clear. Because when slavery was abolished, then you guys are in the workforce, and you have white men who are feeling really fucking threatened, and they're like, oh, obviously there's these people who can probably do a couple of better than we can in a lot of ways, and they didn't want to compete with them. So if they keep, changing a lot, segueing the population of Black people in America into the mostly privatized prisons, systemic racism is, and I don't know a lot. I'm going to be really clear and honest about that. I don't know. I know enough that for me personally, I don't know. It boggles my mind, and I don't,
Sweetie,
I got no words. No.
prisons are big. Is a big corporation. It's just like back years ago when they abolished slavery. They figured out, well, hey, we don't have to kill them. Let's just lock them up and let's still make them work for us. So that was called the chain gang. So then they moved to agricultural work, and now they're at factory work. So pretty much how it goes is you get sentenced to 10 years. You're going to make the local prison system probably $60,000 in 10 years because they're going to pay you by the hour, minimum wage or better. The longer you work there, the more advancement you get, and they're going to pay you 20 to 40 cents a day for your service. Now, they want you to act like a fool so they can sentence you to more time. They want you to do anything that you want to do so they can keep you around. And that's just another problem. That's institutionalized. A lot of people, poor people, have got in their brain, this is what they're worth. Therefore, just surviving in this world is good enough for most people. That's a part of the systemic racism. That's part of systemic racism that a lot of people have been taught that you can't do any better because you have bad education, bad housing, bad health care. So you're minimized for the potential of your life, which is absolutely crazy because I was born using a bathroom in a house in a bucket. No indoor plumbing, no heat, 3 rooms in a house. And guess what? I think I did pretty good. I think I did pretty good because I had a will to win. Winners don't quit, quitters don't win. Do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do and you can make a change.
I want to speak up here. I just want to say that if people who don't know, Owen was a professional athlete. Really has transformed his life after retiring, and then having all this happen in such a short period of time that you tell me about the Confederate flag, because I've always, since the 80s when I was a teenager. Oh yeah, well.
Hold on now, hold on. Oh boy, I like to shake them down a little bit. I got rewarded with the opportunity to be on GQ magazine because of my activism. And this basically shows that I have had my nephew's back and everybody else's back because I don't want to lose. Oh my. Would you look at that fella right there? That would be Selwyn Jones. You can call me.
Okay, I get the autograph copy.
You do. You do. So I reckon the point I'm trying to make is, who would have ever thought that old country poor boy living on the tobacco farm in Goldsboro, North Carolina, would have an opportunity to be in GQ magazine? There's plenty of people. If you ask, hey, have you ever known anybody in GQ? No. Who would have thought the old country boy would be in GQ magazine?
So I introduced Selwyn to the attorney that represented my brother's case at Sanders Stroh. He's from Chicago, and these guys hooked up. He knows some people. So I was like a little church mouse listening to these guys talk about some stuff, and they're like, "Oh, hey, who do you think's going to be taking a private jet to the inauguration?" And talking about, is that what it is? I'm talking about job out. People, and this is just a testament to how important this is for people, celebrities, and just regular people like me and everything else. But listening to you share about that stuff,
it's just people, man. It's just
I
people.
love it.
People from all walks are realizing that the advantages that they have come from one or two different ways. It comes because of your hard work or your effort, and a lot of it has to do with the color of your skin. And we all know this. Why does a man get paid more than a black man, a black woman, and a white woman? Why is that? That's systemic racism. You know, so there's so many things in this world that are not right because somebody decided a long time ago that they would give one species the power to control all other races because of what reason? Think about this, dear. Raped, killed, hung, lynched, raised their babies, cooked their food, cleaned their houses, made them rich. What am I? I'm an African American. Think about this. We came over here in boats and we were put in 8x10 holes, and half of them died on their way here because they had to wallow in their own feces and in their own urine. Then you get out and you get a chain wrapped around you, and then you get beat. Then you get told that you're stupider. Then you're not even a whole person, you're a third of a person. We had to go through all of this our whole life. We've been persevering. I'm persevering. I'm winning the battle, but we've had to negotiate our life. Think about this. Not even 50 years ago, we had to negotiate whether we could go and sit down in a restaurant. We could die for our country, but we couldn't even go to the front of the building. Think about that. This is like 58 years ago. We could not eat in a public place because of why? I reckon. I reckon that somebody decided that our money wasn't even good. Our money wasn't even good. I reckon I remember hearing things that you stink. You don't belong to being here with us, all because of the color of my skin. Then somebody said many years ago that everything black is bad. The black cat, the black witch. If somebody's talking trash about you, they're trying to blackmail you. So that ugly duckling is black. You know what I'm saying? That dark angel is the bad angel. You know what I'm saying? So what happens when we go to heaven? Are we servants? Really? So everything isn't black bad. Black is beautiful.
Okay, so where do you see this here? Look, you and I know we've talked a lot about this, but I thought it was so significant to me in particular because here in the Pacific Northwest, there's been a lot of
craziness,
upheaval, and it's really hard. And you have people out there that are sacrificing so much of their lives to represent and do the right thing. Okay, and again, the majority of them are white because that's the demographic. The demographic here in the Pacific Northwest, in Oregon in particular, which has some very deep-rooted racist roots. So, but when you message me, I mean, beyond just
I heard you were doing good things. I heard you were doing good things. I heard you were making a change, trying to progress the movement. And people tell me about a certain type of individual because I'm in this to win it. I am not giving up. I'm working 24 hours a day. I got my hard hat on. I got my boots on, and I'm trying to win it. So if you are doing something that is good in this world, somebody is going to tell me, hey man, you need to communicate with this person. Maybe she could be help you to understand some things that I don't understand about the cause. Because, dear, let me tell you something. I don't know it all. I don't know much as you know. But what I know about is I've been black for 54 years. And for 54 years, I guarantee you, I have had many of occasions that happened to me that I was pissed off. And the only reason why it happened is because I was black, because of the color of my skin. Judge me from the content of my mind. Don't judge me because of the color of my skin. You know, when I had the problem sometimes, I talk country. I'm from country. I'm country boy. And the way I talk, people, try to play that, wow, you're a dummy because you talk country. Well, and that's unfortunate that people feel that way and think that way about people. But, just because I don't talk like this, don't mean that I'm not a smart cookie. Just because my skin isn't pale, I'm not a smart cookie. So, we're labeled as many things. And one thing we have to change are those labels. We're not going to take people telling us what we should be and what we aren't. Because all I know, dear, is winners don't quit, quitters don't win. So we got a lot of people, especially young ladies like yourself, that are helping us fight our battles. We got a battle, but we know that my nephew.
Well, and like you said, you've been black for 54 years, and when my brother was killed 5 years ago, that's when I was thrust into this environment that I've been dealing with. So I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be black, but I do know for the last 5 years how much information, and I don't even begin to. I'm not even going to say I understand. I don't. I really don't.
There, let me tell you.
However,
your brother got killed. You understand. You can't tell me what it is to be a black person which saw your brother, our brother get killed. But you can tell me. That's what I tell people. This is all the same. Your brother got killed by police officers. Guess what? It don't matter whether it was a black brother, a white brother, a blue brother, a green brother. It was your brother. And you felt the same damn thing I felt. That my nephew got killed. The only difference is we've seen it from start to finish of how somebody can get tortured and controlled. Think about this. You wake up, you go to your television, and you put yourself in a relaxed situation, and you literally sit there. You've seen the video. Over 6 billion people have seen the video. And you've seen him go from hollering, screaming, fighting, suffering, begging. Then he turns quiet. Then you see him use the bathroom on himself, and his urine runs behind that tire. 2.5 minutes later, they tell this dude, okay, get your knee off of him. They load him on a gurney, and then they carry him away. Now, imagine being in a place that there's nothing you can do but wait. Wait for the decision that somebody else thought it was their job to end your life. That's what we saw. In your brother's case, they shot him. And think about that. Did your brother think when he was having his mental episode, when he came to that door, that he wouldn't have an opportunity to see his sister anymore or to see his mom anymore? Did he think that? No. And that's the reason why that George Floyd Amendment legislature has got to get passed, because this law that you cannot penalize an officer is absolutely insane. If you hurt somebody, you should be just as liable as they would be if they hurt you. And we all know that everybody wants to go home, but your brother standing in a doorway, how was anybody threatened by them not being able to go home? My nephew laying on the ground, who did he threaten? How was anybody threatened for him not to go home? The only people that didn't go home are the people that needed help, not death. Help, not death. We're supposed,
Death penalty, they need help.
you know, police are supposed to de-escalate, not escalate. And what I reckon I'm saying is, you see more escalating than you do de-escalating, because whenever you see more people going to the morgue than going to the jail. So
Well, one of the things, yeah. Well, that was one thing that happened with Brian is I didn't know what happened to his body. You know, it's one of the reasons why I try to advocate for families and get a chance and opportunity to talk to them right away, because so much is happening, and I literally, we didn't know what happened to his body. I had to call the police and
That's
say,
crazy.
okay, you guys shot my brother. Where does it go now? You know, or getting a bill for refrigeration. You know, you don't think about that kind of stuff. Or, you know, like having to get a hat because his hair was so short, these real that you could see the bullet hole. They couldn't cover that up. So, you know, those are the kind of things that family members go through. And so, like with Pacific Northwest, this is, you know, we've been working on what we call priority legislation. And some of that has to do with if somebody gets shot, if a police officer kills somebody, they get drug tested. There are permanent records which follow them, because at this point, here's the information that people don't know, because you can go and look it up, but it's not going to be there because it gets erased. All right. So 2 years and their records get expunged. Disciplinary, anything else. That's if they even get to that point. If they've been criminal misconduct, anything else, it usually doesn't even get reported.
Mm-hmm.
Or they get moved laterally in the different departments. So when somebody, a loved one, gets killed by police, that IDFIT, that's what it's called here in Eugene anyway, it's the interagency, which means all the departments from this county come together to investigate this particular death. So they're still absolutely covering for each other. But the things that we don't know and don't hear because we don't know what to ask is, what kind of training are they getting outside of the department? And they're being trained not to hesitate to pull that trigger.
They're mostly
They are being trained.
they're most police officers, 92% of police officers are soldiers, and they still think they're fighting a war. Everybody wants to go home. We know this. And your brother wanted to go and lay down. My nephew wanted to go home and lay on his couch. And because you're dealing with uneducated, unstable men that don't want to take the time to assess a situation, it's easier to control than to help. It's easier to control, and I'll say it again, than help. Because controlling you, putting a bullet in your head, problem's over, problem solved. Helping you.
Yeah, and they don't get in trouble for it. So
hey, they got
easier solution.
Yeah, they got it's pretty simple, dear. They have, do you think David Chauvin ever had one thought against doing what he did to my nephew? There are numerous people out there with cameras. There are people out there hollering and screaming, and he never ever looked like he's going to let my nephew go. My nephew had about a good chance as a one-leg man in a butt kicking contest to win that battle because he never had a chance.
Where's Chauvin right now?
Chauvin's on the beach. He's on the beach in Miami getting a tan when my nephew probably turned to dust by now. He is on the beach getting a tan. Think about this.
And they arranged for him to keep his pension.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
He's keeping that $1.2 million in pension. So we will see how the outcome plays out. But in my mind, considering he was able to leave the state of Minnesota because he was fearful of his life and go down to Miami where it's beautiful that tells me an awful lot of where the world is, and from what I know, the world is a forgiving place for certain type of individuals.
So, yeah, well, cops have to stop that. So, Camilla, as I'm listening to you and Andrew talk, hold on, let me make a little segue here. Can you grab Megan's phone? I think you need this. So, and then have her call Selwyn, and then I just listen to it on her. Yeah, she's right there. Yeah, just in a second, we'll get it off yours and that kind of thing. Okay, sorry guys. Anyway, back to reality. Trying to kind of share the audio here, but anyway, Kamala, as you guys like, very, like familiarity, that kind of thing, and she's talking about now the police reform, and this is a Black woman vice president. I can go Kamala. A little concerned that she's got the history in there. I can't read without my glasses. The law enforcement history. Okay. But she renamed the police reform package for the
George Floyd.
For them coming into up as the George Floyd reform. So anyway, do you know anything more about that?
Time will tell. It's been renamed. It's been renamed George Floyd police reform, and I reckon this is all I want to say on that. Everybody made a lot of promises, so I reckon everybody did what they were supposed to do. Now let's see if everybody else does what they're supposed to do, because there's been a lot of promises being made. Let's just see if everybody sticks to their word and does what they're supposed to.
We're gonna get my daughter's phone. Jay's gotta go. We're just gonna swap the audio.
Okay.
Megan's gonna call you, and we're just getting the phone call right now. So I want to know. I mean, we're gonna take and use kind of celebrate everything we can. Black woman and on this. She does have that history of law enforcement. Do you have any insight to that, or what may happen there? Well, I mean, where do you see this going?
I hope she's able to use her Blackness along with her education to help us. But we've seen situations before, people of color getting themselves in a situation, never like this, obviously. And their hands were strapped, so they couldn't make much change. Excuse me. So we'll see. It's yet to be seen. I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to go and see her get sworn in for the inauguration, and it's been taken away from me because of COVID. So I don't get to go on my little trip. But I think that whoever has a job of being president and vice president, they sure have a hard job. they sure have a hard job. I wouldn't want the job. So let's see if the new cast of characters do what they say.
Okay, Megan's calling you right
Okay.
now, so Jay's gonna hang up and you're gonna answer Megan.
Hello, Megan.
Yeah.
What up?
I am.
Got it?
Come here, come say hi though, really quick. Come here. We got this. Come on, man. Like, hey.
Hey! What's up, Capo? When'd you get in town?
Yeah, I'm loving this interview. I know it's being YouTube live. I hope it gets recorded or at least saved.
When did you get in town?
I just got in last night. I got in and came in to help Stephanie. I've got to go do some work, but I came in to help and to be support and let you guys have this conversation.
Hi, dear. It's a conversation that needs to be had everywhere, sometime, all the time, and I'm just, like I said, somebody told me that she's somebody I needed to communicate with because she was making a change, and here I am.
I
So
can't wait till we can get Jay on here and we can really, delve into some other topics here. I fucking love Jay, man. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for your help. And I will catch up with you later, okay? All right. Again, crazy dog.
Calm down, Vito, calm down.
Hey, it's all right. Just when people leave, he's got this weird anxiety issue or whatever. I don't know. I'd make him into gloves, but you'd only cover one hand.
Oh
so.
my God, you really said that.
Yeah, I did.
She didn't say that to me. She She Coco.
Okay, so you know what? I think there's so much to talk about here. What I really want is I want an opportunity for people to reach out to you. I mean, Life Magazine just asked you for an interview. You're in GQ. You get invited to the inauguration. Oh, let me tell this story because this is funny as hell. So Selwyn was talking about coming out to Eugene or Portland, both, the beginning of February, which is Black History Month. And he's like, well, I've got to go to the AMAs first. And he's like, yeah, Michael's brothers want me to sit with them. And he's sitting there, and it literally took me over 5 minutes for it to register who the hell you meant by Mike. I'm like, holy shit.
Not his brothers, his nephews. His nephews, Diddy Jackson Foundation. Tito's boys.
I love that.
So, we're making a lot of movements. We're meeting a lot of people that are helping me with the cause. And the cause is the movement. Justice for George. Peace and equality for all, man. We just want to make sure everybody is equal. Because racism is the DNA gene. It's something that's taught. It is something that's taught repeatedly over and over and over again. I'm better than you because I got less melatonin in my skin. I'm better than you because I got a bigger house or a bigger tractor or a bigger truck. And you know what? You might have more possessions than somebody, but you're not better than anybody. Before President Obama got to be president, all we heard as Black kids is, you could be president, but it never happened. And he made us believe that we could be president now. Kamala Harris, vice president. We believe that we could possibly potentially be the vice president now. So seeing is believing. We believe a lot of things that we were told that we couldn't do. We were told that we could do, but in our minds, we knew that we'll never be able to. And now we know that we can be what we want to be. It's just a matter of putting yourself in the right position. And it's all about decisions, whether you make the right one or the wrong one. And the thing about that is, as long as you wake up that tomorrow you still got a chance. You still got a chance to fight through the battle, because every day is a battle. Every day is a tremendous battle to some people. Every day, there's millions of people in this world that want to find out where they're going to eat at, how are they going to eat. Hey, I went to Portland, and that's one of the saddest situations I've ever seen. The homeless people living in cardboard boxes. But yet, there's some of those people that don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, that are living in boxes, that are standing on the street fighting for justice and equality. Now, ain't that crazy? You don't have no place to live besides a box. And you still have the power to believe that people of color should be treated fairly. And you have nothing. That's what I'm telling you about.
But they do.
That's what I'm telling you
They
about the
have hope.
power. They got hope. Hey, James
Right.
Baldwin said hope was invented every day, my dear. And it is. It's invented every day. And throughout this journey, I've seen many people like yourself. I just got off a podcast with some long in the tooth Caucasian people from Michigan, 75, 78 years old. Was telling me thank you for what you're doing, Mr. Jones. That blows me away. That blows me away for people that age. And those would be the people that were taught that niggas are bad. Let's hang them. Let's shoot them. Those are the people that were taught that by their master relatives that were probably 3 generations from there, slave owners. And these people are just so amazing. To see a 75 or 80-year-old guy tell me, fella, you're doing a good job.
I know my mom at 74. I mean, she worked ERA, President Ford, all this stuff, and 70.
Oh shit!
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, President Ford, go ahead.
Anyway, my mom's excited about this, so here we have like boomers and everything else, and kind of ironic that like the younger generation are being told that they have no ambition and no real care, they're lazy, all these things, when we know that they're better educated than, even my sentence structure right there, but better educated than any of the other generations before them. And I personally believe that, you know what, all of this, I mean, just everything that came together and the way that it happened with COVID, and then your nephew, whom you call Perry, was killed, and I believe it set it up.
All of the quasars
that just hold it together, and now all those kids that were being told that, this is now this generation is doing something, and it's so goddamn powerful. It's world, man. Nobody's done this before. It's all new shit, man.
These kids now, they have got relentlessness with them that I haven't seen. And we will make change, good or bad. Hopefully it's better. Hopefully it's the good will prevail. And there's some Lone Rangers. There's a lot of people out there taking advantage of situations. Just like there's some dude in Portland named Gary.
Oh yeah, thank you for
saying.
Oh God.
I don't know who Gary is. I've never heard of Gary Floyd.
And he's over at the Red House.
Yeah. So
which is that's awesome, but in regards to him being related to
if
Floyd,
he's doing I reckon if he's doing a good job, just because his name is Floyd, he don't. They say all black people are cousins. I don't know that cousin. I don't know that cousin.
I'm related to everybody.
Yeah. And I'm a black guy with freckles, so there's no damn telling who I'm related to. You know what I'm saying? So I reckon, if the dude's doing a good job, that's fine. But if he's not, if his last name is just Floyd, hey, congrats for having a good last name. But you know what I'm saying? Don't overstep your bounds, partner. But yeah, man, we need the young cats. But we need them fighting for purpose and a cause, not fighting to be free or to be liberated. Because if you're fighting and you really don't know what you're fighting for, that's not going to really accomplish an awful lot. Yeah, if you're fighting for justice and equality, let's fight for justice and equality. If we're fighting to tear somebody's business up or to loot because that's what we feel like we need to do to make a point, well, we don't need that as a cause. We don't want that and for justice for George. We don't want that for justice and equality. We want to be able to show people that we have rules, we have thoughts, we have wants, and our wants are to be equal. Our rules are to be, let us have the same rules that everybody else has. A black guy and a white guy get stopped for had the same complications. The black guy gets 3 years more to his sentence than the average white guy. Why is that? Why do we need to stay in jail longer if we commit the same crime? Because the rules are still the same. A black guy prime example. There was a white guy that got stopped, oh God, probably 2 months ago. And the officer told him 46 times that he was going to tase him. And then they tased him. Then he shot 2 officers and killed one of them. Remember that? 46 times he told him, stop, I'm going to tase you, I'm going to tase you. We don't get afforded. Stop. Where's the taser ever come out of? I went to the graveside of the young man in Philly, and he was mentally challenged, and they never said, I'm going to tase you. They just put 3 in him. The young man that was in Atlanta, they put 3 in him. Jeff Blake, they put 7 in him. Breonna Taylor, they were 60 bullet shots. You got hit several times. So
we can thank 1033 to that. That's the grant given through the governmental grant that that surplus and used military equipment are siphoned down into the various departments all over the entire United States, from flak jackets to weapons to armored vehicles. They get it at an incredibly discounted rate to almost free. So our police are getting military grade equipment on a yearly basis. Now, the thing about the grant is if they refuse it, at least the last time I checked, because things changed in the last 6 months quite a bit, is that it's not going to be offered to them again. So that, to me, there's a lot of defunding right there. All right. And then the military would address the military issue as well, and the training. So I'm taking this opportunity to just get out information. I think that's kind of important that people know. If you look up Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, he is a retired psychology professor from West Point, and he has coined Killology. He is the #1 trainer of police officers in America. And a lot of people don't know who he is.
Killology.
Yeah, it's what it is. He has decided, and he has it backed up with varying degrees of information, that if a police officer is in a situation and or military person in a situation where they feel fear,
don't think twice. Bang bang.
Yeah, they're to feel it and not hesitate. It's not to hesitate. They don't hesitate. You shoot. Okay. And that also plays into the law of qualified immunity, because what they're talking about is you need to feel fear for your safety or the safety of somebody else's, because they've already got the prejudice judicial system on them for wearing a badge. but it comes down to the wording of qualified immunity as well, which is the word reasonable. So if you feel fear and the word reasonable, okay, qualified immunity is giving police impunity to kill our loved ones.
How do we feel fear and we're running away from you? Why would you be afraid of me if I'm running away from you? What fear? Fear that I'm gonna miss you because you ran away from me, so I gotta shoot you in your ass? Or instead of shooting you in your ass, I can shoot you in the back of the head or shoot you in the chest.
I honestly think it's less goddamn time. I think it's about time management. I think they're just like, fuck this. Oh, we're not gonna get in trouble anyway.
That's pretty much what they're saying.
He's down on some goddamn beach somewhere, and look what Selwyn's talking to some weird white chick from Oregon. Okay, you know, I mean, I'm just saying that
that's reality.
The way our system is set up.
That's reality.
You know, in people dealing with the mental health issues, there are organizations that actually work across the United States. And here's the thing: is people don't hear about them because they do work, and when they do work, they start pulling money out from the criminal justice system, which takes money out of the pocket of local government. All right, so that's why you don't hear about things and issues that work. When we're thinking on a social level that, wow, this would be good for our people, the people who are working every day, working together and to support their families and just get through the next goddamn day. There's a whole another level of thinking that you don't hear or see about, and you can go look it up online all you want and Google it until you've actually experienced some of the things that I've seen and the family members, which I love talking to you. I would have never believed some of the stuff, like, you know, Brian was shot and laid there for 6 hours, and we had Civilian Review Board here in Eugene was the first review board to do a deadly force case here, not only in Eugene, but in the state of Oregon and every other state that I've been able to find. I've not been able to find a civilian oversight board that can review and has reviewed the deadly force by police. So they came up with an 11-point power presentation after months of reviewing all the evidence. What's that? They didn't even want to give it to me. What the fuck is that? What are you going to do with that? Wear a pin that says veteran on your vest? It's that big? You know, like, what the hell? It doesn't work. They don't have any power.
Sweetie, the system was designed not to work. The system was designed not to work. And this is where I want to make it clear to people. This ain't about a black thing. This ain't about a white thing. This is about a human thing. Your brother got his brains blew out because he was standing in the front door of his house and he was having a mental issue. And instead of them de-escalating, they got tired of standing out there and they decided to end it.
Okay, so let me just clarify. For anybody who's watching this and don't know my brother's story, I'll go through this really quick. My brother was a captain in the Army, went to Afghanistan, and responded to Katrina after being in the National Guard. He was on disability, 130% disability for PTSD and TBI. He was having an emotional distress in a crisis, and he called his VA therapist, who in turn called police to do a well check. My brother was in a panhandle lot. He didn't want to talk to the police and told them so, although he's still on the phone, had an appointment the next day with therapists. And so because, and I have this recorded, them saying this, the Alex Gardner at the time, the DA, saying that the reason they came in with such force responding to my brother's situation is that because he was a veteran. So 45 minutes late, they show up with the snipers on the roof and the Bearcat, and you know, he kept coming to the door. The fourth time they shot him, Will Stutzman shot him. Like I said, it was 45 minutes after the first call was initiated by his VA therapist. He was in his own home. There's pictures of this huge rifle, and I kid you not, we come from a family of hunters and military, that kind of thing. But I mean, this wasn't even that. It was just common sense. I looked at this picture, and it's the first picture people see when they look at my brother or Google his name, and it's this black rifle. And so here's the thing: is I asked the cop. I said, "Oh, well, how did it get over here? Because if you shoot somebody and it goes through their spine, they're not falling forward. That gun's pretty far the fuck out there." And he looked at me and literally said, "We had to set it there to get a good photo for the evidence of the strap, or a good strap of the evidence." I was like, "Wait, you did what? You put it there? Is that why your audio and video recording devices quit working 4 minutes before and 6 minutes till after my brother was killed? So you could just make sure that they got there." So I'm just saying that, when I know that we want to make this look nice and we want everybody to be good and okay, and that's not what happened. That's not, in the protesting, and this fucking country was built on the premise that we can fight for our rights, and that means everybody. And I feel like we're right here, and we just need to start to use language that's going to help people understand. And I feel like that's my job. That's something, especially police brutality, so we don't stop.
We can't stop. We can't stop. And we're not going to stop. So, we've got a lot of good people around me, Justice for George, including yourself, Christina, Rick, Holly, that we're going to let this thing do what it do, because I don't want to have people like myself and yourself or any other people sad because we've got to see our relative get put in a hole by somebody that's supposed to protect and serve.
Which is a slogan, by the way. It is not a job requirement. We hear that all the time, and it's written on the side of the cruisers. But to protect and serve is literally a slogan.
Well, obviously it's a slogan because it ain't their belief. And earlier we touched on a Confederate flag we had down here in my little town, Gettysburg. Well, it had to go. It had to go. And ever since then, I've been a drug dealer. I've been a hoodlum. I've been the worst thing in the world. And before my nephew got buried, I was a pretty all right dude as far as they're concerned. But that's a prime case of power and control. If the Caucasian guy that's making the rules can't control you, well, in the old days, they used to kill you, but they would beat you, or they'd lock you up. So it's changed a little bit. I have to sit in my parking lot and watch people that have literally talked more shit about me than a $2 radio. But yet, when we want to have a little confrontation, talk about it, they don't really care to talk about it because they don't have to. And they honestly feel like it ain't no big deal because it's them. But you know what, man? Such is life. I'm sorry if I'm doing a lot of moving. I'm trying to hook my charger up here.
How long have we been on now?
Oh, God, dear. We've been on long enough to cook a brownie, too.
For a while.
Shit, no. Hold on.
Okay, hour and a half. So we got on late.
Help me.
We still have a water. I just, you know what? I wanted people that hear this, the person that I've come to know, that
the person that you come to know is a complete psychopath. He like dancing in the rain. Anyhow, I reckon what I'm telling you.
I don't think we're done with this. I don't think the conversation is done.
Oh no.
What I'd like to do at some point, I know that Christmas coming up and everything else. It's everybody's kind of buying in their resources, but
this conversation will never be done. It'll never ever be done. As long as there's air in our bodies, uh, it'll never be done. And I honestly would consider you a friend and an ally. Uh, Me and you have got a lot of things that we have to do uh, because of the system that we've been living in. And I'm so thankful that I can meet people like yourself that just know that the difference between right and wrong. And for you to be put in the situation that you were put in, I, your heart, your power, your belief, and all that is good to you is a beautiful thing. And I seen and you'll see so many people that are thinking, oh man, we have been wrong. And in your case, not only did you feel like we have been wrong, you had your blood taken from you, which makes you feel a certain way. So, dear, I'm just telling you, you had the power. I reckon that was the reason why I was told that I need to talk to you because you had the power. And hey, you put two power sources together, we have a supreme. So so that's what we want. We want to keep the pressure on. Uh, we want to keep the movement going because we've
This is
got.
my phone. My daughter's phone's gonna die. Sorry to interrupt.
Tell you what, dear.
So we'll go. But what I'd like to do is here coming up soon, where I will hash out all the old technical bullshit.
Do that, please.
Things.
Do that, please.
See, Teresa Salt Gallagher is my producer on Issues Today, World Gem Global Radio Issues Today with Irving Julian and Yolanda McNair and Patrick and all these people. And she's telling me, she's like, thank God people like you, Teresa. I swear to God. So there we go. We're getting a little power back. But when I'm able to do so, kind of fixes them, we can get questions from the people that are listening to us.
Yeah, I love Q&A.
Really important.
I love Q&A. So let's try this again before the New Year's.
Sweet, man.
Because I'm coming down to hang around with y'all in February, I think.
Yeah.
So God bless you, dear. You are a joy to communicate with. You have been a joy since I made my acquaintance, and hopefully you will continue to bless my life with your passion and your spirit and your soul. And hey, I really want to say this: Soul Train. Bye, my dear. Love you, Mama. Bye bye.